This one's a little bit different insofar as we're looking at a Sony Betamax F30, SL-F30 UB. Yeah, as you can see, it was a really nice machine. Bought it off eBay. Didn't pay a huge amount for it, but still it was, not cheap for an untested machine. It looked really, really tidy. But unfortunately, the person who packed it did a really just terrible job. I don't think I've ever seen such just total lack of regard for packing and protecting a machine. So, now to the present day, what you see before you is what it's actually like. So you can see here that the board is completely smashed. This whole corner took a heck of a whack, and the tracking control is completely, utterly smashed. It's actually smashed the little board on the back as well. You can see that. So that's totally had it. A bit of PCB, and yeah, it's well and truly broken. The front cabinets actually survived fairly well, but it has lost its eject button. The tracking wheel is snapped. I'll show you that in a minute. And the bottom of the case here is also cracked. That's repairable. It'll never look great, but I suppose it's fairly well hidden. So not too bad. I might have another front actually. If I have, then great. If not, I'll just repair this one and put. I think I've got a broken one somewhere where I can rob the eject button. I think it just clicks in, but we'll see. In the back here, not too much damage. That little support is broken, but otherwise it's not too bad. There's also a bit of a crack there. It's got forced into the metal and split. And you won't be able to see this. Well, I'll show you. Also at the back here, this has got bent. Now, it's quite a feat to bend that. It's pretty thick metal. But obviously it's just been completely free in the box. And I'm actually really amazed. There isn't more damage, except there is more damage. This isn't too bad, and this is very, very common on these machines when they, I'm just hearing that's a bit of plastic just falling out. Add that to the collection. So I'll just take the bottom off. Okay, so the bottom off. Very common area that gets broken on these in transit is the PCB around this peg, this spacer peg. Just to help give a bit more support to the actual board against the bottom. I don't know whether you can see this very well, but there are very fine cracks. Yeah, so you can see one there, for example, and it's travelled about as far as there. Now that isn't too bad to repair. I think I did see another one there. I think otherwise it's not too bad. That's just in the flux, I think, or in the varnish rather, board varnish. But yeah, that's not good. So I contacted the seller, and he wasn't really very helpful. He did reply in the end, and people are busy. I understand that. That's cool. But I just said, well, I can use it for parts. I might be able to fix it. I'm not sure I did actually say I might be able to fix it because I was just so sad. I hate getting machines that are just needlessly trashed because somebody can't be bothered to pack something, especially when it is like £100 or so. I said about having a partial refund. He sort of insinuated that I'd broken it. what gives? Yeah, so I eventually raised a claim to send it back, which he accepted straight away, fair play. But I did say, look, what are you going to do with this? You know, it's pretty much scrap, really, unless you know somebody who can fix this or can pass it on. You're not going to get much for it. So would you consider a partial refund? You know, and initially I sort of said half, but wasn't actually thinking that actually it comes with a remote control as well, which is in excellent condition, and they're worth a fair bit, to be fair. So even if it was like 20 quid, just something, just a token, just to make it not feel just so awful. Anyway, I haven't heard back. The claim's still open. I've got another week, I think, before I have to decide if I'm going to send it back. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to try and get this going. There is no reason why I can't repair this board. Two other boards. So this is the bag of bits I've got so far. The eject button, which is pretty badly smashed. Tracking wheel, sorry, which is cracked. But I've got the full thing, so I could repair it at a push. It wouldn't look that great, but it would work fine because it's not gone through the centre either. So, and then various bits of plastic, which I might be able to find the home for. The amazing thing is the tone switch is fine. It's another thing that commonly gets smashed. It gets smashed off here, or at least stressed and bent. So yeah. So with that, I suppose we better crack on and see what we can do to get this going. So the front assemblies, I have this one, which you can see is totally smashed, and this, I am pretty sure, I know I said it in the intro, but I'm pretty sure is the one that was on this machine. It's totally smashed. There's part of it as well. So yeah, that's pretty much had it. Then I've got this one, and I bought a machine that looked great on in the pictures, and it was completely straight black, except it wasn't really a very good job. It's pretty poor, but it does have the eject button, so that's good. The eject button, basically it's a little bit complex to remove it. You've got to take off these plastic, if you like, welds. So there's these here, and then there's two up here as well. So it's a little bit of a fiddle to do, but not a problem. And then I have another one, which was from a no-hoper machine, pretty much. But this one is pretty intact, other than the eject button's missing, and there is a crack here. So that's an easy fix. And it won't be the tidiest thing in the world, but it will be fine. And the actual front itself is pretty good. So yeah, with a good clean-up and polish, that'll come out quite nicely, I think. So yeah, let's crack on. So we're going to start with the bottom board first of all, get this repaired. It's actually not too bad. I was going to possibly think about actually doing the repair on the top, or repairing these from the top. But to be quite honest, there is very little damage. There's a crack here. You can see where it's gone across here. There's a crack there. Which isn't terrible, and certainly very repairable. And then a bit of a crack going down here, and across here. Don't know how far quite that goes. doesn't look as if it's going through that trace there, but it's easy enough to put a bit of wire there, so that should be okay. So let's crack on and get that fixed. So not my finest work, but I have ended up using wire to sort of go from one point to the other components, bypassing where the cracks are. Now it's quite odd because here there's actually no damage, but the damage actually goes across here. So you can see I've put a bit of solder there, and that did actually make it good, but I've actually put a wire on anyway, because I don't trust doing soldering, just using solder to bridge a gap like that. It's not good, not reliable. So then we've got this blue wire here. You can actually see the break there, quite a sizable gap there in the print. So that's there. Then obviously solid component legs type wire there, around that variable resistor. This did actually all check out okay. It had continuity, but it's cracked, so chances are it may well go dodgy in the future. Then there is a crack here, but this has actually missed everything. It's actually gone through that pad there, and yes, I've been really lucky there. And then we've got this here. Let's move that out of the way. There's a little bit of solder on there, which goes up and around and down here. So I have actually gone a bit further. So I only really need to just go over here, but I've actually gone on to here, just for a bit more mechanical strength for what it's worth. But yeah, so I think that should be okay. I will keep an eye on these, and obviously if we start getting strange signal faults through the video, then that'll more than likely be a suspect place to start looking. So the next thing is to do the front panel, and that's going to be a fun one. So as you can see, this board would be fun, a lot of fun, but I have just received a good panel from Gabriel, and it needs the switches swapped over, so I'll put some new ones on and put the panel on, and we'll take it from there. Replacement board, all good to go. Replace the switches, and yeah, really cool. And here's a casualty list of the old switches. One thing worth noting is this switch is actually on its end, so these are all sort of horizontally placed, and then this one is vertically placed. So yeah, if you get it wrong, I don't think it'll fit actually, but if you try and put it in the wrong way, but if you get it wrong, then you won't get power on. So that's a bit of a tip. The machine itself, to get the board out, it's actually a little bit involved insofar as you have to take the clock and the front button assembly off. You also have to remove the switch assembly, which clips in under here. So basically, to do that, you just pull. Let's just see if I can get it back on. So that's it on, and all you do is just lift it so the little this little bit comes out, then put it out, and it's free. You have to be a bit careful of it because they're fairly brittle these days. They do break. So the cabling, and the loom actually runs from the edge of the board here, under here, through behind the plastic, up here, behind the metal, up here to the red connector. So what I'll do now is I'll fit that, and I'll just show you what I mean. There we go, fitted. It's just a matter of putting the board in slightly to the left and then sliding it back so it locates in the lugs here and in here, and then the cables actually go behind this bit of metal and then underneath this bit of metal behind the plastic and through the gap, you can see there, and then up and over and connect onto the SS34 board here. So let's get this back in, and I will apologise because I am rushing this somewhat. I have to clear some space. And I actually started this video about 2 months ago at the time of recording, and when I took a look at that front board, I asked my good friend Gabriel if he might possibly have one spare, because that front board was just too far gone. It honestly, I mean, I could repair it, but I want this machine to be good, and I still don't know. I don't know how good this machine is. I'm sort of keeping the faith that it will be good. And I'm doing this one-handed, which is not ideal, but it's good for you to see me do it and how it all goes back together. So this bit here, you can't really see because the cables are in the way, but basically this slides in and is held by the metal assembly there. Get a screw and put that in. Let's just put this on. So, see the plastic there going onto the top of the plastic here, going above the metal. You line it up with the switch, push it in, and it just locates. It's easy as that. It's a weird way of doing a switch, but it works really well. It's a very effective way to do it. So I think we're somewhere near to giving this a test. So let's flip the tuning board back over, reroute the cables. Terrible camera work. So yeah, okay. I mean, obviously I've not dusted this out at all. It's just as is, and it's almost at the stage where it's where it would have been if it had actually been packed properly. So yeah, it's only taken like several months to get to the stage, but hey ho, we got there. So I suppose we ought to give it a try. Before we go any further, let's do the fuse check. What do you reckon? I reckon it's going to be a 13 amp. Yep, 13 amp fuse. So let's get that changed and then we'll give it a test. Thought I'd just check before I powered this on that I had actually repaired everything, and a bit of a scrape away, and you can actually see I've nowhere near completed repairing all of the broken tracks. So I'm going to do that next, and then we'll give it a try. Well, it's not my finest work, but it's not bad. I mean, everything's connected. I did actually contemplate You can see where I've done some, just running thin wire across the cracks. Then I realised a lot of these tracks are actually potentially cracked in 3 places. So although they did all test okay, I have hardwired them as well. This is much more reliable. Even though it's messy, it's not as nice, it is more reliable. So I'm happy with that, and I'm happy I think I've got them all in the right order. So now we can give it a test. So let's give it a try. So this has the auto on, you don't have to power it on before pushing the tape in. And characteristic pause that many of these machines do, it's the leaf switch at the back is just a little bit noisy, but that's fine. Fingers crossed. Yes, we have a picture. And it's not bad. It says tracking furthest left, tracking furthest right. It's actually not bad still for a 2-head machine either. There was an F60, and the F60 was basically a 3-head version, so yeah, there's no advance or anything. So that gave better stills, but yeah, really pleased with that. So we have a working machine. So the next thing I need to do is change. There's a couple of caps that invariably go wrong in these, so they need to be changed. Give it a good clean out, brush it out as well, and yeah, then we've got to fix the front. So I'm probably not going to bother now with showing the capacitors on here because I have done that before, but yeah, what I will do is I'll cut to the front panel repair, which could be interesting. So yeah, let's crack on with that. That's looking pretty clean. Rather pleased with that. It's come out rather well. Even taken out the heat sink. Still a bit of dust in there, but I'll blow that out. Polished the top a little bit, and also took out that nasty little dent in the top there. So the next thing, I'm going to replace the fuses. I do tend to replace them because they do fracture with age, and the constant on-off actually weakens the wire inside. So I changed them now and put new ones in. And the capacitors basically that you need to change are this one here, which is 47 microfarad at 25 volts. Then you've got two 22 microfarad at 16 volts. And then on this side, two 47s again at 16 volts. I've actually got 3 47s at 25 volts, and then two 22s again at 25 volts. So I'll get and do that now, and yeah, we'll put it all back together. So sorry the angle's not that great, but let's first we'll get the upper drum off. This needs a resurface, so do that. And I should be able to lift that up. Just lifting up the static drain to get that done, and yeah, carry on from there. So that's all done. You probably can't see that, but it's like new. I mean, it wasn't too bad, to be honest. You know, obviously had some wear, but yeah, not bad at all. So, but it's worth doing. It's worth taking the time just to get the upper drum right. Drop that back, and bolts. Lovely. That's great. So, power supply. It's not beautifully beautiful, but it's all right. It's not bad. dust has been removed. So to get this back in, slide it in, lifting it ever so slightly so it clears the screws that come through the bottom of the case. Then there's a little bit that sticks out from the metal assembly here that needs to locate into the chassis. And just make sure none of these are fouling. There we go. It's actually a joy to work on these power supplies because they're well, to remove anyway. I would not like to try and get one of the SDK regulators for one of these because I'm assuming that they're well and truly obsolete, not available. So yeah, that would not be so good. It is something possibly I might look into doing something in the future where we use a modern equivalent to replace the power supply. First of all, I need to find a machine where I need to do that too. And that's the problem. A few people have asked, oh, can you show this and can you show that? And I will, but obviously I have to have the issue first. I mean, I'm hoping to do a few videos just for the sake of it, just for showing you guys how certain things go together and whatever, how they work. But I'm fairly limited because I don't want to write off machines necessarily, and sort of do anything. Well, I like to try and keep them original as possible. It's still dusty. Yeah, so just to recap on where the screws are to get this in and out. There's 2 screws here, 2 screws on the back, here and here, and then 2 screws on the side. And you need to pull this out because there's a locating lug there. Just pull that out and it will start coming out, and you need to sort of maneuver it. So lift it back as you lift it out, because there's 2 screws in the bottom there that it needs to clear. I mean, you could take those screws out, I suppose, if you want to really be smooth about it, but yeah, just a bit of a jiggle and it comes out. So yeah, so I did change fuses, change those caps. Those of you with a 4K TV watching super wide screen or whatever, large screen, you might notice I haven't changed the 4 amp fuse. I haven't actually got one. I haven't got a 4 amp fuse, so I will order some because I like to change all the fuses if possible, and probably the 4 amp one is the one that might fracture. But at the moment, that's fine. I know it's all good. So yeah, so the next thing is to look at the front cover. Now for the front cover. Now this is the best one. This is actually the one that it actually came with. But you can see it's missing the eject button. So I found this one. And this is actually a fairly tidy one, except somebody decided it was a great idea to spray the machine black. But they didn't do a very good job. But it has an eject button. So what we're going to do is pop off the plastic sealed rivets. You can see most of them. Oh, that's actually already off. So we've got 2 here. You see that one? That one I've actually knocked off already. That one is free. And then there's 2 at the top here and here. So let's have a go and see if we can do that. It's probably not going to be very pretty. Let's get it so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so see if I can knock these off. There's a little bit sort of worried that I'm going to break more than I need to. But the plastic is actually quite soft on these. Which is partly why they really don't travel well unless they're wrapped perfectly. That's trying to come off. I think that'll come off. So that is off. Now, how easy is it to get out? I'm guessing it needs to go out through the front. Never done this before. Yeah, there we go. Smashing. So you can see there, these are actually open. So you just sort of lock into the plastic, and then they must press down the plastic, and just sort of, it holds it. Get that out. So there we go. So we can have a lovely clean eject button because I can clean it. Something that's actually fairly difficult to do, to really get everything perfectly clean there. But yeah, super. So give that a clean, and we'll stick it in the other front cover. Okay, so let's try and get this in. Focus is struggling a bit there. So that's going in there. Now what I'm slightly concerned about is I did manage to actually knock off, I took the other one out. Oh, I haven't cleared these bits. So you actually need to clear these as well. Just press out, hopefully. Let's try again. Oh, that's broken as well. See, that's flapping about, so I'll super glue that, that's fine. I've got a bit of super gluing to do on this. Oh, that's actually not too bad. So what I need to do now is just change the tip on my soldering iron for my melting plastic tip, and yeah, we'll get that sealed. Okay, so let's see what we can do. It's not a very good job. There's not really enough there. In some ways I would have been better just gluing this. Yeah. There we go. There is enough there. Just to do that, I'll melt more than I need to. But the plastic on these F30, so this generation of machine really from Sony, and onwards really, the sort of bargain basement ones, the quality of the plastics is far worse. That's okay. Unfortunately, the button itself is suffered from some overspray from when the other one was sprayed black. So I can't believe someone did that. Yeah, so that's probably a top tip. I mean, it's all right. It's just doesn't feel quite as nice as I'd like. But just do one and just check the action so it feels nice, and then carry on. But that's fine. It does work. By the time there's a button behind there, it'll be it'll be fine. To be fair, probably, gosh, should have probably cleaned there a bit better. But yeah, we'll give it a clean. So the next thing, unfortunately, there is more damage to this front, and that's here. So I am going to probably aldite this, to be fair, and I will put some more aldites just in there and there, just to give it a bit more strength. And yeah, we should be good to go. Fix that as well. That'll be a super glue job, I think. So yeah, let's get and do that and put it back together, and we should finally be good to go. It's been really a very long, drawn out job, this one, and yeah, I sort of lost a bit of interest because I do find smash machines, they're just so sad, you know. And this was actually a pretty nice machine. It just really needed a recondition. If it had just been packed properly, it would have been great. And you know, I should have, maybe I should have sent it back, but I just know that it would have just gone straight to landfill, and that would be such a waste of a great machine. So what do? You know, I paid over 100 quid for it, and yeah. Anyway, it's been a lot of work, but we have got there, and yeah, let's do some gluing, and I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I decided to use hot glue, and it is clear, even though it looks yellow, because I had yellow in there before, and I tried to clear it, but it's still a bit yellow. But I mean, it's never going to be great. I mean, you can see there the crack, and there's a bit of glue there. I need to clear that off. But there's a bit of plastic missing. It's a best effort. I have glued this, so, and that's super glued. So it's fine. It's still quite mucky, isn't it? But yeah, so give it a final clean and put it back together, I suppose, and yeah, give it a test. Okay, so bottom cover back on and front cover as well, and I had a little bit of a problem with the record button. It's a little bit too close, so I've just adjusted that. So let's power it on. It does its usual. Always tickles me that you can't change that. And let's pop a tape in. And that's the first time I've actually lubricated the deck, so it sounds a little bit rough just at the minute. I need to tighten that up a bit as well, I think. Yeah, it's still not quite tight enough. But there we go. We are working well. So a few flickers, but I expect that because I've dusted it through. There's always some dust that gets sort of in there. But that's great. I'm really pleased with that. Let's check the tracking again, because it's had a tape path clean. Oh, wrong side. So that's furthest left. Bit of flutter. Furthest right. A little bit of noise, but otherwise that's spot on. That's really good. I'm so pleased with that. So there we have it. We're all good to go. Let's just put, I'm just going to put the top on. It does need a clean. Screws put back on, just so we can see it in all its glory. So there we have it. A really nice, apart from the wear and the crack on that one side at the front there, but a wonderful Sony SL-F30. So with that, oh, let's set the clock. See if that works. Next. It's midnight. 14. Next. Lovely. That's working well. Super. So somewhere I actually have a remote as well. Yeah, let's find the remote. Found the remote. It's not, strictly speaking, the original one, because this is for a European version, and it's actually the wrong colour, but it's fine. It works well. And pause. Stop. And of course, you do on these. You have the ability to actually turn off the remote control, which is actually quite cool. So yeah, there we go. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and yeah, it's taken months to get this machine done. Just with everything that's been going on, it's been a really difficult time to sort of just get machines done. Getting parts as well has been difficult. Obviously, I've had to get parts to get like the front panel fixed, which took time. They came from Spain. Thank you very much, Gabriel. And yes, just so difficult, but it is working, and it's working really, really well. And I'm more than happy with it. So with that, thank you very much for watching. And I think, I may be wrong, but I think next week is part 4 of the HF100, because I had to get this going. So I had the space to fix the HF100, do the last parts to that. So yeah, something to look forward to. So thanks for watching, and see you in another video. Bye for now.